Every great magic trick has a secret. For two competing performers, their greatest illusion becomes a deadly obsession. But what happens when the secret is so dangerous? The only price to keep it is a human life. And the only way out is murder. Are you watching closely? The question hangs in the air over a field of top hats scattered like fallen soldiers among autumn leaves. A wise voice, belonging to a man named Cutter, explains that every magic trick has three acts. First is the pledge, where the magician shows you something ordinary, like a man on a Victorian stage. But as a mysterious figure sneaks backstage, Cutter warns us that the ordinary is a lie. Then comes the turn, where the ordinary does something extraordinary, vanishing through a trapdoor as electricity arcs around him. The audience gasps. But the trick isn't over. What could possibly be the final deadly act? The final act is the prestige. But something has gone horribly wrong. The magician, Robert Angier, is trapped in a locked water tank, drowning, while the disguised man, Alfred Borden, watches him perish. We're suddenly thrown into a courtroom where Cutter testifies that Borden sabotaged the trick, placing the tank under the stage to murder his rival. The scene then shifts to a bleak prison, where a solicitor named Owens arrives to meet the now convicted Borden. He's a man at the end of his rope, but Owens has an offer. What could a man on death row possibly have that a wealthy lord would want? The answer, it turns out, is the secrets to his magic. Owens, representing a Lord Cordlow, wants to buy Borden's illusions, specifically the method for his greatest trick, the transported man. Borden initially scoffs at the offer, but Owens plays a cruel trump card, Borden's daughter. With Borden set to hang, she will become an orphan sent to the workhouse, unless he accepts the deal. As a show of good faith, Owens gives Borden a gift, Robert Angier's diary. This is a cold, calculated move, preying on a father's love and a magician's pride. But would Borden really trade his life's work for his rival's journal? Borden opens the diary, and we're pulled into Angier's journey to Colorado, a snowy landscape powered by electricity. Angier writes that he's searching for the key to Borden's secrets, a single keyword that unlocks his rival's encrypted notebook. His journey takes him up a remote mountain to a fenced-off compound, where he's immediately zapped by an electric fence. He's here to see the reclusive inventor, Nikola Tesla, the man he believes built a mysterious machine for Borden. Angier is driven by a desperate obsession, believing this machine is the only way to finally best his nemesis. The story rewinds, plunging us back to when Angier and Borden were just two young magicians starting their careers, devoted to their craft. They act as audience plants for another magician, Milton, whose assistant, Julia, is tied up for an underwater escape trick. Backstage, Borden is full of contempt for Milton's stale act, itching for something new and dangerous. Cutter, their mentor, challenges them to solve a rival's trick, planting the seeds of a friendly competition. But what happens next will completely change everything, turning their ambition into a dark, irreversible obsession. That friendly competition already has a dark edge. Borden argues that the simple knot used to tie Julia's wrists for the water escape isn't safe, suggesting a more complex one, the Langford double. Cutter and Angier immediately shut him down, warning that if the rope swells, she won't be able to slip the knot and could drown. This small disagreement reveals the core of their future conflict: Borden's reckless genius versus Angier's cautious showmanship. This tension over a simple knot is a chilling piece of foreshadowing, a hint that their devotion to illusion will soon have deadly consequences. But who is right? In another flashback, Borden is shown the secret to a simple birdcage trick. The pledge is a live bird, but the prestige involves crushing it in a collapsible cage, while a duplicate appears elsewhere. A young boy watching the show isn't fooled. He tearfully asks, "Where's his brother?" This moment reveals the brutal reality behind some illusions, that the audience's wonder often comes at a hidden, cruel cost. Borden later meets the boy's aunt, Sarah, and impresses her with a disappearing act of his own, hinting at a romance built on the very magic that requires such sacrifice. Can a life built on secrets ever truly be happy? Back in the present, Cutter shows the judge Angier's performance machine, claiming it wasn't built by a magician, but by a wizard. He reveals that it has no trick. It's real. He then points to the water tank where Angier drowned, explaining that the trick padlock had been swapped for a real one, a deliberate act of murder. This water tank, he explains, holds a particularly awful significance. We are then thrown back in time to the performance that started it all, the night their rivalry turned from professional to personal. This is where things get absolutely insane. During the underwater escape, Borden ties the Langford double on Julia's wrists, the very knot he was warned against using. As the timer ticks past a minute, panic erupts. Cutter smashes the tank with an axe, but it's too late. Julia has drowned. Angier is completely destroyed, cradling her lifeless body and screaming her name. And just like that, the tragedy transforms his ambition. It's no longer about magic. It's about a venomous, all-consuming obsession with revenge. At Julia's funeral, Angier confronts Borden, demanding to know which knot he tied. Borden, astonishingly, claims he doesn't know. This evasive answer infuriates Angier, cementing his belief that Borden is a liar and a murderer. Meanwhile, Borden's life moves on. He starts a new act with an engineer named Fallon and is about to have a baby with Sarah. He even shows her the secret to his new bullet catch trick. He seems to be building a new life, but can he ever truly escape the ghost of Julia? Sarah senses a duality in Borden, telling him that some days he loves her, and some days he seems to love magic more. She finds this distinction meaningful, a strange but honest part of their relationship. We then see Borden performing his bullet catch in a rowdy tavern. An audience volunteer steps forward. It's Angier, in disguise, seething with hatred. He secretly loads a real bullet into the gun and once again asks, "Which knot did you tie?" When Borden gives the same frustrating answer, "I don't know," Angier shoots him, blowing 2 fingers off his left hand. The cycle of revenge has escalated, with each man now physically scarred by their hatred. Reading Borden's diary, Angier is tormented by Borden's claim that he can't remember which knot he tied, convinced it's a lie. Meanwhile, a wounded Borden struggles to get back to work, determined to perform a new trick that will make his name. Angier, lost in grief and alcohol, is found by Cutter, who proposes they start their own act. They set up a workshop, and Angier adopts a stage name Julia once suggested, the Great Danton. Their comeback hinges on a new, spectacular version of the birdcage trick one, where the bird isn't harmed. It's a clear attempt to create a more humane magic, a direct rebuke of the carelessness that killed Julia. The Great Danton's new show is a success, but the audience is restless. For the finale, Angier performs his humane birdcage trick, inviting volunteers on stage. One volunteer is a man with 2 missing fingers. It's Borden. In a shocking act of sabotage, Borden snaps the cage shut, crushing the bird and breaking the other volunteer's fingers. Angier's show is ruined, and the theater owner kicks him out. Utterly defeated, Angier realizes he needs an irresistible new trick, one that Borden can't possibly ignore or sabotage. His obsession is now all-consuming. Back in Colorado, Angier shows Tesla's assistant, Allie, a page from Borden's notebook. Intrigued, Allie decides to show Angier the true power of Tesla's work. In a stunning display, Allie leads him to a field where hundreds of light bulbs glow brightly without any wires, powered by a generator miles away. Angier is witnessing real magic. The film then flashes back to a technical exposition in London, where Tesla's alternating current creates indoor lightning, terrifying the public. Angier spots Borden in the crowd, utterly captivated, and follows him, watching from a distance as Borden shares a loving moment with Sarah and their baby. The sight of his rival's happiness only fuels his rage. In his jail cell, Borden takes his daughter, Jess, on his knee while Fallon stands by. Facing the reality that Jess will be sent to the workhouse, Borden makes a heartbreaking decision. He tells Fallon to sell his secrets to secure his daughter's future. And this is the exact moment you see his choice. What's more important, a lifetime of secrets or his daughter's future? Later, in the prison yard, he performs a small trick for a guard, chaining the guard to a rail in a moment of defiance. It's a fleeting glimpse of the brilliant magician trapped by a world that doesn't understand him. Finally, Angier gets his meeting with Tesla, who stands nonchalantly amidst crackling bolts of electricity. Tesla warns him that obsession is a dangerous path, but Angier is resolute. Price is no object. He just wants the machine. In another flashback, we see Borden has a new hit trick, the transported man, and Angier, seething with jealousy, sends his assistant and lover Olivia to go work for Borden and steal his secret. Now, put yourself in Olivia's shoes. The man she loves is sending her to his greatest enemy, treating her like a pawn in his dangerous game. Angier watches Borden's new trick and is stunned. He calls it the greatest magic trick he's ever seen. In the trick, Borden enters a cabinet on one side of the stage and instantly emerges from another on the other side. Angier and Cutter are convinced he must be using a double, but Olivia, who has now seen the trick up close, insists it's the same man. Fueled by this mystery, Angier decides to steal the trick and do it better. He hires a drunken, out-of-work actor named Gerald Root, a man who is his spitting image, to serve as his double. The stage is set for a direct challenge. With Root trained to mimic him perfectly, Angier debuts the new transported man. In his version, Angier enters one door and disappears through a trapdoor, while Root emerges from a second door to take the applause. The trick is a roaring success, but it tortures Angier, who must listen to the ovation while hiding under the stage. He hates that his double gets to be the prestige. This gnawing dissatisfaction reveals a crucial part of his character. It's not enough to fool the audience. He needs to be the one on stage, receiving the adoration. Angier's obsession deepens, and he can't let go of the idea that Borden's version is superior. He pressures Olivia to discover Borden's real method. We jump back to Colorado, where Tesla's first test of the machine seems to be a failure. Angier's top hat doesn't move at all. Meanwhile, Olivia goes to Borden and confesses that Angier sent her to be a spy. She claims she has left Angier because he is consumed by his obsession, and she offers to help Borden improve his own showmanship. Is she telling the truth? Or is this just another layer of deception? While Angier is away, his double, Root, realizes his importance and starts blackmailing him, forcing Cutter to advise they stop the trick. But Angier refuses, determined to continue until he can unravel Borden's secret. Borden, meanwhile, takes Root out for a drink, cleverly warning him about the power a double holds over a magician, a clear threat to Angier. The next night, Borden sabotages Angier's show in spectacular fashion. He removes the mattress under the trapdoor, injuring Angier's leg, and then appears on stage himself while a gagged and bound Root is lowered from the ceiling. Borden has humiliated Angier, proving he is still one step ahead. A furious Angier confronts Olivia, accusing her of falling in love with Borden and failing to get his secret. She insists that Borden uses a double, but Angier refuses to believe it's that simple. To prove her loyalty, she reveals she has borrowed Borden's encrypted notebook. Angier is ecstatic, believing all of his rival's secrets are finally in his hands. This moment is a turning point. With the notebook, Angier thinks he has won, but his obsession has blinded him to the possibility that he is the one being played. To get the keyword for the notebook, Angier hatches a plan. He has Fallon, Borden's engineer, followed, trapped, and buried alive in a coffin. He then confronts Borden in a cemetery, demanding the keyword in exchange for Fallon's location. A desperate Borden scribbles a single word on a piece of paper: Tesla. Angier now believes that Tesla's machine is the true secret to Borden's trick and prepares for a journey to America, leaving Cutter behind. He has what he thinks is the answer, but the cost has been immense, pushing away his only true ally. As Angier heads to America, Borden's life unravels. During a tense celebratory dinner, Sarah's insecurity and Borden's divided affections cause a massive fight, driving a wedge between them and also between Borden and Olivia. But while that drama unfolds, a far greater deception is at play. The shocking truth is about to be revealed. Angier in Colorado begins decoding the diary only to discover a devastating truth. The diary was a plant. Olivia gave it to him at Borden's request, and the keyword Tesla was a wild goose chase designed to send him halfway across the world. Angier has been completely and utterly duped. Enraged by the deception, Angier confronts Tesla, who insists the machine is real but simply not working as expected. They test it again, this time on Ali's cat. The cat doesn't transport, but when Angier leaves the lab in disgust, he finds a field full of his own top hats and 2 identical black cats. The machine doesn't transport things. It creates a perfect duplicate some distance away. This discovery is both terrifying and exhilarating. Tesla, fearing what he has created, finishes the machine for Angier but warns him to destroy it, for it will only bring misery. Angier's diary reveals its final twist. It was never for Borden to learn his secrets, but for Borden to read while awaiting his own death for Angier's murder. Borden, realizing the diary will be used as evidence against him, tries to bargain with Owens, offering his real secrets in exchange for seeing his daughter one last time. In a heartbreaking flashback, Sarah confronts Borden, demanding he be honest and tell her if he loves her. When he replies, "Not today," her spirit is finally broken, and she hangs herself in his workshop. The secret life he led to protect his magic has cost him everything. 2 years later, Angier returns to London, a wealthy lord living under his real family name, Coldlow. He finds Cutter and recruits him to help stage his ultimate comeback, a new version of the real transported man using Tesla's machine. The trick is a sensation. Angier steps into the machine and vanishes, only to reappear moments later in a balcony high above the crowd. Borden, watching from the audience, is mystified and obsessed. He has to know how it's done. Angier has successfully turned the tables, using Borden's own tactics against him. Despite resolving to let it go, Borden can't resist. He disguises himself and goes backstage during Angier's show to finally uncover the secret. He watches as Angier steps into the machine, vanishes, and then falls through a trapdoor into a locked water tank below. As Angier drowns, Borden frantically tries to break the glass, but it's too late. Cutter runs in and finds Borden standing over the body, exclaiming, "What have you done?" Borden has been perfectly framed for murder. Angier has orchestrated his final and most brutal illusion. Borden is found guilty and sentenced to hang. In jail, he receives a visitor, Lord Coldlow, who brings Borden's daughter Jess with him. Coldlow reveals himself to be Angier, alive and well. He gloats that he has won, taking everything from Borden, including his daughter, just as Borden took Julia from him. It is the ultimate revenge, a victory born from years of hatred. But the most twisted part is still to come. You won't believe the final secret. Cutter, horrified to discover Angier is alive and has framed an innocent man, agrees to help him one last time, delivering the machine to Angier's old theater. At the jail, as Borden is led to the gallows, he whispers to a guard, "Are you watching closely?" The execution is carried out. In the theater, Angier is suddenly shot by a man who looks exactly like the Borden who was just hanged. He is not a ghost. He is Borden's identical twin brother. The final, staggering secret is revealed. There was no single Alfred Borden. There were 2 identical twins who shared one life, trading places as both the magician Borden and the engineer Fallon. One brother loved Sarah, the other loved Olivia, which explains their seemingly contradictory nature. Angier, dying, finally understands. He confesses his own terrible secret. Every night, he never knew if he would be the man who vanished or the prestige who appeared in the balcony. The machine created a clone, and the original Angier would drop into the water tank to drown, an act of suicide he committed over and over again. The theater is filled with tanks, each containing a dead copy of himself.